I've heard a few people say that they wish Airfix had brought out more World War One 1600 scale ship models, and of course they have brought out the Iron Duke model. But I thought I would have a go at converting it into something else, and in this case, we're going to convert it to an Indefatigable class battlecruiser, HMS New Zealand. I used reference drawings from this book to come up with a basic plan for the conversion. This overhead shot shows the extended forecastle deck and the repositioned barbettes that were all repurposed from the original kit. The hull had to be shortened and narrowed slightly, and the original secondary armament casemates had to be plated up to the weather deck level. Anti-torpedo net booms were added both sides of the hull. The angled backplates of the original turrets were replaced with a flat white plate, as can be seen in some of these pictures. The turret rounded side plates were filed into flat multi-segment sides. And the barrels, when they appear, were slightly shortened for the 12-inch as opposed to the 13.5-inch gun. The original ship's boats from the Iron Duke kit were well suited to the Indefatigable class, and so an entire set was able to be made from the original boats in the kit. Other original parts that worked well were the tripod legs, which could be formed into the two masts required for the battlecruiser. Most of the deck detail on the original Iron Duke decks were left in position, even though they weren't 100% correct, because it was just too hard to remove them, file them, and still leave the deck planking markings intact. So for the most part, I worked around them, and I added one or two extra details that were on the Indefatigable class. Working out the secondary armament positions was quite interesting and quite challenging. There are supposed to be 8 4-inch guns either side of the ship, but on many of the drawings and photographs, they were very, very difficult to see at all. Eventually, by looking at enough photographs and drawings, I understood that they were quite often heavily shuttered and were virtually invisible. So I decided to model both sides of the ship in alternative configurations. On the starboard side, the 4-inch guns are all unshuttered and swung out onto the beam. And on the port side, they're all swung in and shown in the stowed positions with the shutters closed. This provided an interesting contrast between both sides of the ship and showed both configurations on the one model. The extended mastheads were made from thin soldered wire. The portholes are definitely a compromise. So I started off wanting to drill all of the portholes on the hull as well, but unfortunately when I started that, because of where I'd filled in the hole, a lot of the filling cracked and crumbled and I had to refill it. I decided then that I'd just paint the porthole, so not quite the way I wanted to do it. Some of the portholes in the superstructure are the drilled ones. So if I was going to make this model again, I would try and make the joints in the hole between the rows of portholes so that I could still drill out the portholes. Needless to say, this wasn't really a conversion that was very well planned. It just kind of happened and evolved as I went. So it's quite often the way I run these projects, to just see what happens. I was quite happy with the final result, given that it's a 1/600 conversion. You can get 1/700 kits that look really good. However, I just wanted something that would display with the 1/600 kits. So in the end, yeah, pretty happy with this. It's not perfect, but looks pretty good with the rest of the 1/600 fleet.